Now one, go.
Hi, we're doing hi. We're doing our group assignment. This is our fifth assignment on the demobilization topic and demobilization unit. Today, I'm going to talk about some of the concepts in those two particular items. And then we're going to move on to filling out some checkout forms. We've got 5 of those. Brooke is going to go over a couple, and Parker, and then I've got one myself. And then in a separate recording, Michael's going to go over activity 8.1 that covers writing an incident demobilization plan. Moving right into some of the concepts in this particular section that we read about, the functions of the demobilization unit, and I'm going to talk about some of the responsibilities of the leader, some of the sections of a plan, and briefly touch upon the form. The demobilization unit is typically when things in an incident are getting back to order, they're returning back to their place where they came from, and documentation occurs in that particular function. I thought that this reference was good here in the material. It talked about when you pack to go on a trip, everything is nice and neat and organized, but then when you come back, when you're done with the trip, everything is in disarray. Everything is all typically jam-packed in the suitcase. And that's what can happen at the end of an incident if it's really messy and things aren't kept orderly and returned to their safe order. But that's the purpose, the responsibilities of that demobilization unit and the leader to get everything back in order and safely returned to where they came from. What is a demob? Basically, he's the demobilization leader. He's also called the demob or the demob leader. He coordinates with a lot of other members in the incident, especially the operations section chief, the general staff, and the command staff. And he also connects back to the agencies where the resources originated from, make sure that that's where they're going to be going to. He or she also coordinates with the agency dispatch, the coordination center, and as I said, the general staff and command staff, and then also agency representatives. A demobilization plan itself has 7 sections, and the 7 sections are a general section, which describes things like administrative types of things. There's a section for release priorities. This is very obvious what's going to be released as a priority from the incident. The responsibilities section, who's responsible for what. A lot of this is typical things that are done. And a release procedure section, how things are going to be released. A 5th section in this demo plan is a travel information section. It's got travel information such as, where these different resources are going to go back. And then there's a emergency demobilization procedure section in the event there's an emergency or there's some kind of disciplinary action going on. And then there's a signature cover sheet, and I believe that usually that's the very first thing of a page in an incident. For the incident, the demobilization resources, when they're being returned, they have to go through like a checkout, and there's actually a form, an ICS form 221, which is the demobilization checkout form, and we actually filled out a few of these as part of this exercise. And I'm actually going to go over the first one, and then, like I said, Brooks got a couple and Parker's got a couple. And the form that I picked out, a checkout form, the ICS 221 form I selected was for an engine number 15. That was the identifying mark. And this is, of course, is a Central City resource. The incident name, once again, we're kind of following up on the incident we've been doing a lot of work on, the train derailment incident for the Roaring River. They're planning a release date, August 17th at 1500 hours. And then in this part of the form, these are all the people that have to sign off on that particular resource being released. And I selected a planning section, someone from the planning section to sign off on that. The planning section leader is who I intended. Actually, I guess I should have put that down there. The DMOB leader, I put that as myself. Documentation leader, Brooke. And then some travel information for this particular fire engine. Its destination is going back to the Central City Fire Department. Again, this is the date and the time. And then the actual release and time, I figured it's only a half hour away. I just assumed that. And the time of its actual release, I'm sorry. It may not be the estimated time, but the actual release time, I just made that up as being about a half hour later off. And then they're a half hour away, I estimated the time of arrival going back at 1600. Reassignment information in the activity was talked about that there was a new incident. So that's why the resource is being released as a priority, because there's another incident. And the form prepared by the DMOB's assistant, and it was prepared August 16th at 21:30. It's just kind of what I guessed. Next up for some additional forms is Brooke.
Okay, so after we would finalize and approve that demobilization plan, the IC has advised us that we need to fill out the 221s. We're not going to go through all of the resources for the sake of time, but Scott already showed us one of them, and Parker and I are going to go over two more of those. There's, if you can see, is for the medical unit. This is the E19 demobilization checkout. For Roaring River train derailment, it's the same date and time as the other one. I believe I got all of this from the 211s. I didn't put anything for the logistics or the finance for this one. I added in the medical leader's name just to have that available, and his phone number is down here. That's also from the 211. And I believe I pulled this information from the 213 just to have a little bit more information about their functions. I put in the demobilization leader and the documentation leader because those would be relevant. And the planning section chief again is Enrique Parker. The estimated time is on 122:0800, and the time of arrival is 10:17. So I believe that's the same for all of them. This is for the Roaring River derailment for Central City. It's prepared by me, and the position title is the DMOB again. I mean, this is just today's date. I'm going to pull up the other one. I apologize. Should be this one. Yes, this is the patrol unit one for E15. Again, it's the Roaring River train derailment, the same date and time. For this one, I added in that it's 2 personnel and that it's Liberty County, and Keith Giotti is the name of the patrol unit leader. So I also added in his phone number so that there's some contact information for him. I put the same planning section chief, documentation leader, and demobilization leader. And then I just added in some remarks about what those functions would be. It's, again, for the Roaring River derailment, and the location for this one is Liberty County. It's the same, I believe it's the same date and time for all of them, 0800 and then 1017, prepared by me and for the demobilization unit. I think all the information I got was from the 211s and from the 213s. So that's all I have. I think Parker has 2 more to go over.
Alrighty. You guys want me to screen share? You guys can see that, right?
Yep.
All right, so I'll be going over the resource that they use, which is this. The first one is the dump truck. It's for the Roaring River derailment incident. The date was 3/13. The time was 11:30. The order request number was 231. The dump truck company was the leader. There was 3 more personnel. It was Craig Hinckley plus 2 more. Documentation leader, I put Scott. Demobilization leader, I put Brooke. The estimated time of departure was 07:30. The actual release and time date was 1:22. Wasn't exactly sure about the time, so I put 07:30, same as the departure time. The destination was Central City. Travel method, just normal transportation methods. Contact information was this number right here, 555-455-5364. Once again, the incident, this was the Roaring River derailment, was prepared by myself on 1/22 at 07:30. I have one more form. Figure out how to share that one. All right, once again, this was the incident, the Roaring River derailment. The resource was the boom truck. Oh, hold on, mine disappeared. Sorry, guys. Okay, there's the order request number with the specific number of boom truck that they wanted. This was on 8/13 at 11:30. So the planning section is from the boom truck company. There were a total of 3 personnel involved. Javier Lopez was the head guy with 2 people also helping him out. The documentation leader, I put Scott. The demobilization leader, I put Michael. The destination was Central City, Colorado. Once again, just normal travel method, roadways, highways. The actual release date and time was on 8/13 at 11:30. The contact information while traveling was 555-555-8213. And for the reassignment information, the location, Central City, prepared by myself. And it was prepared on 11/5 of 2020. Thank you.
All right, well, very good. Brooke and Parker went over some of these checkout forms for individual resources, which was going through quite a bit of information. Once again, filling out these forms where our eyes start getting crossed, trying to find information. So that's not very good. So it's not very easy. So we went through 5 examples of specific resources and how a form gets filled out. It might not have been perfect, but we gave our best attempt to filling out the information and trying to find the pieces in the material. And it was a little tricky, difficult, not real straightforward, but we managed to get it as good as we could to get that stuff filled out. Previously in the video, I talked about the concepts in a demobilization effort and the demob unit and the demob leader and some of their functions and responsibilities and what happens, where basically things are basically being returned back to their safe and origin, safely and orderly, and just things aren't just chaos and just stuffed all together or crammed or thrown all over and not accounted for. So things are documented. We went through some of that in some of these forms. And Michael Recca, one of our classmates, he's going to talk about activity 8.2, where an incident demob plan and the specific sections in that plan that we're missing, and we're going to record that in a separate recording and send that off to our class instructors. Thank you for listening to us, and that's all we have.